Hey everyone, Carolina Rail Fan Productions here, and welcome to the first episode in this new spin-off series, Engines of Roaring Camp. On this first episode, we'll be talking about the Roaring Camp Big Trees #1, the Dixiana. So sit back, relax, grab a snack, and enjoy the show. Dixiana needs no introduction, as is one of many Shay locomotives being mass-produced in the United States, and is also part of one of the most successful steam locomotives to be made throughout the 250 years of steam locomotive technology. And a handful of these locomotives still run and operate in tourist and scenic railroads, such as the Cass Scenic Railroad, for example. But to understand how the Dixiana became famous and how it helped shape the Roaring Camp as we know it today, we have to go back to the early 1910s. As American railroads began revolutionizing by the beginning of the turn of the 20th century, locomotive technology improved as well. Dixiana was built on October 12, 1912 by the Dynamo Locomotive Works in Lima, Ohio, as the company was well known for its mass production of Shay locomotives during the early years of the 20th century. The engine was a Class B Shay, which means that it has 3 cylinders and 2 trucks. Its weight between 10 and 60 short tons. The locomotive has 2 trucks, which means the engine, cylinders, and pistons are vertical, which move the gears that moves the engine. Its boiler pressure is 180 psi. Its weight on the drivers is 84,000 pounds. Its drive diameter is 29 inches. It has a tractive effort of 16,900 pounds. Cylinder size 10 by 12 inches. Its gauge is 46 inches, and its fuel is oil. The engine is also equipped with a H. Belfield Company 3-chime whistle. Here are a few samples. After it left the factory, it was sent to work on the Okosi Lumber Company of Consauga, Tennessee. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, which was their second locomotive to carry #3. It hauled lumber trains in the mountains of southeastern Tennessee and northern Georgia. 2 years later, in 1917, #3 was transferred to the Tennegatta Lumber Company, the successor to Alcocy, retaining its number. 2 years later again, 1919, it was sold to the Southern Iron Equipment Company and became the number 1466. It hauled metal at their Atlanta, Georgia plant. In August of that year, it was sold to the W.M. Ritter Lumber Company in Potractor, North Carolina, and was converted from standard gauge to 3-foot 914 minimum narrow gauge. They returned to its previous number, becoming their second #3 once again. The locomotive later moved to the W.M. Ritter's McClure, Virginia operations. In 1938, the locomotive was sold to the Coal Processing Corporation and carried both the #3 and later number 2593 in Dixiana, Virginia. By the mid-1950s, however, the locomotive was retired from service and left in Dixiana. 3 years later, in 1958, F. Norman Clark purchased the Dixiana for the Roaring Camp and Big Trees Narrow Gauge Railroad, which he was setting it up in Felton, California. In 1962, with the help from the Southern Railway, the locomotive was shipped to New Orleans, where the Southern Pacific took over and shipped it on to Los Angeles on the Sunset Limit route. From there it was taken to the Watsonville Junction and transferred over to the Santa Cruz branch line in Felton. It arrived on the railroad on October 12, 1962, 50 years to the day after it was built. Dixiana was restored to operating condition and was converted to burn bunker oil instead of coal to prevent trackside fires. It was named Dixiana after its last industrial home. A new H. Belfield and Company 3-chime whistle was installed during the restoration. The restoration was completed on April 6, 1963, when Dixiana pulled its first passenger train at Roaring Camp. Throughout its career on the Roaring Camp, Dixiana lacked a builder's plate and never wore one throughout its career, until a replica was fitted sometime in 2020 and still wears it to this very day. Dixiana has a very interesting history. Like most Shays, mostly known as a logging engine before working on the Roaring Camp Railroad, and has been a major asset and a major part of the railroad since it began operations in the early 1960s. And for a short time in July of 1970, the locomotive operated with deer horns on the headlights, like most 19th and early 20th century locomotives wore throughout excursion services and in films. Another interesting fact about the locomotive: prior to the railroad's initial opening in 1963, the locomotive had a wooden pilot, but this was smashed to pieces due to the crews grossly underestimating the grade transitions of the railroad, and to this day it continues operating without its wooden pilot. The engine continues to operate on the Roaring Camp and Big Trees Railroad, and will leave a mark as the railroad's pride and joy. Thanks for watching this first episode of Engines of Roaring Camp. This would have not been possible without a special request from a rail fan, and without your support, this would have never been a reality. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you thought of the first episode, and thank you again for watching. I'm Carolina Rail Fan Productions. Have a good day, stay safe, and have a good one.